Leonhard Euler was born April 15, 1707 in Basel, Switzerland. He died September 18, 1783 in St. Petersburg, Russia. Euler was a Swiss mathematician and physicist. He was only 13 years old when he enrolled at the University of Basel. At the age of 15, he received his bachelor's degree, and 1 year later he completed his master's degree. He married Katharina Gesell in 1734, and they had 13 children, but only 5 survived childhood. When Katharina died in 1773, Euler remarried her half-sister 3 years later. The year of 1738, Euler lost his eyesight in his right eye. Then in 1766, he lost sight in his left eye. Nonetheless, Euler said, "Now I will have fewer distractions," and did not let his loss of sight hold him back. Euler's father, Paul, was a pastor, and at first he pressured Euler to study theology. Luckily, Johann Bernoulli was a family friend and recognized Euler's potential in mathematics. It was Johann who then persuaded Paul to allow Euler to pursue a mathematical career. In 1727, Euler was invited to work at the Imperial Russian Academy of Sciences in St. Petersburg with Johann's son, Daniel. The academy is where Euler carried integral calculus to a higher degree of perfection by submitting numerous books and memoirs. This is also where he developed the theory of trigonometric and logarithmic functions, reduced analytic operations to a greater simplicity, and threw new light on nearly all parts of pure mathematics. In 1741, Euler was invited to move to Berlin by Frederick the Great of Prussia. Excited to leave Russia due to the increasing political turmoil, Euler realized he would receive great benefit from Frederick, who would support Euler's investigations and publish his major works. Later in 1766, Catherine the Great invited Euler to return to St. Petersburg. After being granted a generous salary that he asked for, Euler agreed to return and stayed in Russia for the remainder of his life. As we know, Euler had an insane amount of contributions. He dominated 18th century mathematics. He wrote 860 research papers that were more than 25,000 pages long. While in Berlin, Euler wrote over 380 articles on mathematics and natural philosophy. One of his most popular books of the 18th century was Letters to a German Princess, which contained information on different subjects in physics and philosophy. Euler published his first paper on isochronous curves in a resisting medium in 1726, which aided fluid dynamics. He introduced much of the mathematical notation we use today, such as the notation for a function. He was the first to use the letter E for the base of the natural logarithm. Today it is known as Euler's number. Euler is also credited for inventing the notation I to denote the square root of -1. He even popularized the use of the Greek letter pi. In complex analysis, he introduced the scientific notation and discovered what is now known as Euler's formula. We discussed in class how incredibly special Euler's identity is, as it involves the 5 most important constants in mathematics. In analysis, Euler introduced the concept of a function and the use of the exponential function and logarithms in analytic proofs. He elaborated the theory of higher transcendental functions by introducing the gamma function, introduced a new method for solving quartic equations, found a way to calculate integrals with complex limits, which allowed for the development of complex analysis, and he invented the calculus of variations, including its most well-known result, the Euler-Lagrange equation. He is also known in analysis for his frequent use in development of power series, as he discovered the expansions for E and the inverse tangent function. His use of power series aided his success in solving the famous Basel problem in 1735. In number theory, he proved Newton's identities, Fermat's little theorem, and Fermat's theorem on sums of 2 squares. Euler also made distinct contributions to Lagrange's 4-square theorem, and he invented the tangent function. Most of Euler's greatest successes were in applying analytic methods to real-world problems, where he described numerous applications of Bernoulli's numbers, Fourier series, Venn diagrams, Euler numbers, E and pi constants, and continued fractions and integrals. One of Euler's unique interests was the application of mathematical ideas in music. In 1739, he wrote his attempt at a new theory of music in hopes to integrate music theory as a part of mathematics. But it never caught on and was once described as too mathematical for musicians and too musical for mathematicians. I definitely think that Euler should be included in a list of the greatest mathematicians. He made numerous contributions to a wide range of mathematics that were responsible for many great advances. Most of his work we still use today, and he's considered to be the most prolific mathematician of all time, publishing close to 900 books.